it's not enough just to have opinions. It doesn't matter how people sometimes say, but I really feel it. Well, tough. That doesn't make it knowledge. So you've got a philosophical theory here, a long-standing one, which starts to tell us why that isn't enough.
Sometimes then we substitute for that a claim about belief, and we can say, oh, well, I used to believe it. We don't say I used to know it. Well, I used to believe it. And this has led some people to think, almost all philosophers actually, that knowing is a kind of jumped up kind of belief, right? It's belief with an extra bit of mojo or something going with it.
Knowledge on the one side is very objective. Belief is very subjective. Knowledge is something that can be shown to be false. If someone says, I know something, then you can show that they didn't know it if what they said turns out to be false. They didn't really know it. The second thing about knowledge is that when someone says they know something, they're giving a kind of promise. I give you my promise that this is true. Now with belief, it's quite different.
I think we probably can attain knowledge. I'm less clear that we can know that we have. And that raises a very interesting question about whether you have to know that you have knowledge in order to genuinely have it. But my own view is, yes, we probably can attain knowledge, but perhaps wouldn't know it if we saw it, because knowledge would be, in some sense, unshakable true belief, and we wouldn't know in advance whether or not it could be shaken. You start off with something that you're relatively confident of, and someone will raise the question whether or not you're justified in that confidence. And you seek then some deeper account from which you could explain why you're justified. And you rest until someone raises a worry about that. That seems like a coherent way to proceed. But if you thought, no, look, knowledge itself is made up of the justification, right? The justification enters into the account of what it is for you to know. Then you might think that if the justification itself rests on something that's not itself known, then you don't really have knowledge in the first place. And so if the regress goes on forever, you might worry whether or not any of that regress is knowledge. And I think that's what, for example, you find in the Theaetetus and what Aristotle is worried about in the posterior analytics. I can't claim that I know something and claim that I'm doubting it, coherently at the same time, right? And that's because doubt is a condition in which I haven't settled a question. In order to know something, I must settle the question, right? So that where questions remain to be settled, that's where you find doubt. Now, philosophers are trying to understand which questions remain to be settled and why they do. So they're very much interested in the appropriate conditions for doubt, which of course are also the negative side, if you like, of the appropriate conditions for knowing.
Doubt is absolutely important with knowledge, because if you don't think the person knows, then you have a target, and the target is you just show that what they said they knew is false, and they don't know. It's as quick as that. So doubt is very important in knowledge, and the philosophers of science will say that in science, doubt has a special place, because any theory is always open to being doubted and tested. There is nothing absolutely fixed in science. But with belief, it's quite different. You can say you doubt a person's belief, they might just continue believing because they have this fixed idea. You might then say, well, your reasons are no good. And they might still say, but I believe it. I still believe it. So belief is less vulnerable when you come to doubt.
Oh, doubt is everything. Doubt stops you making claims that are too big. There's a responsibility to yourself, there's a responsibility to the scientific community, and there's also a responsibility to the people who are funding you and the people who are going to use the data that you produce. So doubt, absolutely key. You're always questioning yourself. One of the big issues with the processes of science is doubt, as we've been discussing. People inherently don't like doubt. Scientists are adventurers. Right? They spend a lot of time going, oh, what if? You know, oh, I wonder what happens if I do this. You know, what if I turn on this switch that I've already got an electric shock from? What if I do it again? Because you want to test it. You want to see if it happens twice, right? You actually enjoy that sense of adventure and mystery. You enjoy the sense that there's something bigger than you and that it's you stepping into the unknown every day, really. But it's not a comfortable place for a lot of people.